Hey everyone, and welcome back. Tonight is a pretty interesting live stream. I will be talking about OSL and Lightshaders. So I will be waiting for a few more people to show up. It's in Vancouver time. It's now 7 p.m., 7:30. Most Europeans are fast asleep right now, so I will be just waiting for a few guys. Maybe someone will show up, and then I will jump right into it. Oh, and I will also be talking about Katana a bit, how I am currently setting up my new template scene, and how I will prepare new tutorials as well. So for now, I think my Twitter should be active. I think I just tweeted out that I'm live now. Yeah, I am. So we might get a few people from there, and I know I'll be just waiting a bit. If you are listening in, just you can send it in the chat. The chat is visible. So let me know, guys. India is there. Hey, guys. So according to my dashboard on YouTube, I have 2 people watching, and I guess it's you two. Let's just wait a bit more. 12 people now. Okay, so it's Colombia. Cool. So as you can see, I have a nice dragon in the view, and I was a bit inspired by obviously Game of Thrones. The last few episodes have been featured by pretty badass dragons. Um, yeah, so I thought why not start off with a dragon as well. Okay. Let me just move this guy over here so I can see it a bit better. So I won't be making a tutorial on how to install Katana because it's documented very well and you should find all your resources online for that. Okay, so I guess 19 people are watching, so let's just give it a go. So the first thing I want to talk about is what is OSL, right? A few people might know what it is. It's a open shading language. I was actually looking for heads, as you can see. So what is OSL? It's a shading language, a universal shading language. And let's just see what is OSL shader. So this is I think the main documentation, is it? Well, I've got another website with all the OSL stuff. So open shading language. It's a language which is pretty fast. It's not as fast as C++, but it is very fast. So I am currently learning to develop new, or not new shaders, but to write my own shaders using OSL. And you can find them on my open source Bitbucket repo. Let's see, if you go to source and you go to OSL, I have a PMask and a remap. So you actually find remap shaders as well in Arnold. It's called AI range, which is the remap which come from sorry, AL shader has also a remap shader. So this is pretty similar. It has your input output maxes and it has a mask function and a clamp function. So this is this typical remap. Unfortunately, Arnold's range shader, which has these features here, does not have the mask option, which I find very helpful, and I'll show you just now why. And then a very interesting one, which is the position mask, which has it's a bit more. It's actually 2 shaders in one. I just commented out the one. So the bottom piece is a new position mat. It's actually not position. It's more like a geometry position mask driven by a matrix. So I will show you what that is. And obviously, if you don't know the website, you can go on lightshaders.de, and when it's loading, you have the you have obviously I will post all my tutorials here, and then documentation about my all the light shader stuff, and then you on the download page you have the direct link to the repo. Anyways, so back in action. So where's my chat window? It disappeared. Okay, why is it dying? Come on. Okay, that's back on top. I'm using Renderman, I'm using Arnold. Anyways, okay, so the first thing I want to show you is the position mask. So I have nothing, no shaders assigned. So the first thing I want to do is I assign let's for now just connect a standard surface here, and I press G to assign it there too. So we've got two standard shaders applied. Heading over to the hypershade, and let's see when it loads up. I just frame those shaders, and that's that. So, and now what I can do, I can press tab and type AI and then the shader name. So in this case, it's called LSP mask. So you might ask, how do you get them to show up? So how to install OSL shaders is very simple. All you got to do is append the path where your shaders reside to the Arnold plugin path. And to do that, it's now behind the chat window. You can open up the run window, or you can go to your where you set your environment variables. Right click run, this is run, and then your system properties advanced shows you the system properties, and then you can go to environment variables, and under Arnold plugin path, if you don't have the plugin path here, you just click new, type in Arnold plugin path, and then wherever your location is, just add it. So in this directory, I've got my OSL shaders. And then all it takes is a restart for Maya and they show up. The same as for Katana or any other package. Arnold needs to know the location of the OSL shaders. Anyway, so that's that. So when you have that connected, so all you got to do then is when this is now the shader, right? So just to show you what it actually does, I first want to connect the out color. Which one is it now? I think the first one was the plane. So I just want to connect the out color to the base color. And for now, just disable specular and full weight for the base color. So the mask goes in here. And for now, I'll just hide the guy and just save just to be sure. And I will be booting up Arnold. If you have any questions, just feel free to jump in because I've got the chat window open, as you can see. So I started the IPR session on my other monitor. I've got two now, yeah. So this is what you see. So you got a cube in the center, which might look weird. What is the purpose of that? But there is actually no geo there. So it's actually just driven by a shader. Does OSL is something like the new Material X. Material X is pretty similar. It's more like a generic material, which is well, it is still on a development by ILM. They open source that now. So yeah, don't do anything important. Well, the video goes online, so you can skip or pause afterwards. You can actually pause now, go pee, come back, and hit play, and I will still be talking. Anyways, so we got this thing here. So what is this? So if I go into the shader of that guy, color. So this is the shader layout, and you've got your input output colors. So it's A and B, two colors, and then you have a T, and T is a transformation matrix. And then you have options to round it off, like round. You can see what's going on. It's getting round and more edged. And then you have a fall off. So this is very handy. I will show you now in a second. So the cool thing now is, let's say I want to color grade some specific area on an object, or I don't know, you don't want to go through texturing, or there might be lots of use cases for this. So the first thing what you do is create a cube or any other object which you find appropriate, and then you open up the connection editor. It is in general connection editor, and make sure you select the transform for the cube, which goes in the left, and then you go to the hypershade and select the shader, AI LSP mask, reload the right, and that's it, and go back to view panes. And now all you got to do, you can connect the matrix, if I can find it. There you go, to the T. So now if that's connected, so whenever I move the cube, this mask moves as well, or it's supposed to do that. Let's see. Tension is building up because I can't grab that damn handle. Okay, so you can see if I move the cube, the mask moves as well. Okay, so if I scale the cube, the mask scales as well. If I rotate the cube, same thing happens, right? Very helpful. So I will show you now a use case for this. So before we start, let's just stop the render and keep the cube. Oh, it's motion blurring. Interesting. Motion blur off. And unhide the dragon. Okay, so let's say I want to create a mask shader or something weird, right? Something interesting, definitely. So this is my mask. And first, let's just make the as typical floor. Let's remove the connection, break connection, dock a floor, give it some spec, give it some roughness, and save again. And let's start IPR and play. So perspective. So this is now my perspective, right? I added a few lights just to make it a bit more interesting. And the next thing would be to assign a shader, or actually a shader is connected, but so just let's make this guy a bit more fancy. Let's quickly create a metal. So base color, let's do something interesting. Roughness, pink. Ooh. Okay, or purple. So that's nice metallic. Let's just make this view a bit bigger so it's nicer. Okay. So, and let's create another shader now. Hypershade. My space is limited. Can you do the connection with a locator? The locator does it have transformation? I don't know. Let's see. Locator, it should have a transformation as well. Yeah, should work with a locator as well. But you don't see it visually, right? Because you can't really, or you can actually, yeah, it should work. Okay, so AI standard, new shader. Standard surface. It's hard to type with just one hand. Okay, so this is the dragon pink shader, and let's connect the out to that guy. So now this shader is connected instead. And so let's create, I don't know, red plastic, green plastic. Okay, so a bit more roughness. So this is very simple, right? So all I want to do now is connect these two guys up, and let's use a mix shader. Mix shader, this is shader 1, and this guy is shader 2, and this goes in here. So now we have this connection, right? Currently they are blended in 50-50. So what you would do now is you would connect a checkerboard or some noise to make it more interesting. But now what we can do, we can actually use this guy, the P mask. And the out color red or any channel connects to the mix of the mix shader node. So let's do that quickly. This guy connects up here, and now you can see that something has happened. And if I check the view panes, you can see, I'm not sure why it is actually doing that. Oh, because I think I disconnected the matrix, or it doesn't have anything. Anyways, you can see what's going on. It's the Joker. So Hypershade, let's see. Does it actually have a connection? No, the connection is broken. Okay, so let's do the same thing again. General connection editor. This goes to the right. Oh, it is actually connected. Anyway, let's try this then again. Maybe it might be that I need to restart the IPR session. Matrix. Yeah, it's connected. Okay, so let's try this again. That's interesting. It seems that it's not really working as I would expect it to. Oh, it's because the round. No, it's all good. It's all good. Sorry. So it's because I have the round value pretty high, so that's why. Okay, that's all good. All right, so let's just hide the box. So in the cube shape, you can go to render stats and make it cast shadows off, receive shadows off, primary off, all these toggles off, and now we just have the cube, right? So now you can actually do some fancy things. You can have more than then. You can animate them, and you have this nice pattern. And wherever the cube now is, does it still cast shadows? Why? Cast shadows off. There you go. So wherever the cube is, you get a different shader. And you can do this with several things. You can then animate these guys and you get some really nice effects. So this is what this shader is about. And I just want to show you one more thing. Let's try the same thing with another cube. So you can actually make them also invisible in the viewport if you go to object display and LOD visibility. So that's, yeah, what graphics card do I have? These questions, I keep forgetting them. So let's run it. DX diagnose. It should open. No, it's called DX diag, right? Oh, there it goes. Okay. So I have a, it's not that one. That's my built-in display too. There we go. No, it's also not that one. Well, it's some, oh man. Sorry, this is now a waste of time, I guess. NVIDIA control panel. Ramp. Does all of my have anything like some no, ramp RGB or layer color? It has a ramp. I'm not sure if that's the same thing you would you talking about, and it has layer color. I'm also not sure exactly what you mean by that. Anyways, let's forget the graphics card. It's nothing special. It's a GTX 880 or something. Nothing too crazy. So let's create another AL LS P mask, and this time the output. Do we need that? Yeah. So this time the output goes into the pink shader, into the roughness. And we also another OSL shader, which you can get on the repo, is AILS remap. And this is just a bit different than the range because it has the mask option, which the range does not have. So that's the only addition. So what I want to do, the out color from this guy connects into the mask. So show all. And the red channel goes into the mask, like so. And the out value goes into the spec roughness. So currently it's super shiny. Let's add a default value of 0.45. So that's the default value for my remap, the input value. And now what I want to do, create quickly another cube, duplicate this guy, keep saving. And now let's just quickly do the connections again. Node editor, script, hypershade, there we go. So Windows general connection, that was the wrong one. Okay, so cube to right left and new shader right. So matrix goes to T, close. Okay, so now we have the second one connected. Where's P cube? It's hidden now, so it's there. And now I want to move this guy. Let's make him visible so we see the scale. And just make them a bit more narrow, something like this. Hide this guy. It's possible that we need to restart the session, but maybe it will work. So if I would remap this now, it does actually work. So you can see now I'm changing the same thing. I'm changing the roughness values. Or let's make it even rougher. Let's just make it more rough and the default more shiny. And you can see I'm now changing the roughness values instead. So that's also very helpful if you want to just control things on certain areas. So this is what this live session was about. So pretty simple stuff, nothing too fancy. So let's see the comments. Okay, so what else? And I wanted to talk about Katana, right? So first, let's see if the render is still active. It is, so stop that guy. And Katana. So I got some of you might know I have started to work with Katana, especially at home, and I'm currently creating a new template. So this is the simple basic setup I have. Let's just move the chat out of the way for a second. So at the top, you get the shader ball, the camera, test cameras. You've got some controls for the asset, and then you have the base shaders. So and then this is just a base shaders to set up the scene. And on the right in the look dev tab, in here you will, or I am currently creating all the shaders. So if I go into this guy, this is now my car paint shader. This is my dust shader, and then they are mixed together. It's same workflow as in Maya, connecting nodes and outputting them. So that's nothing special. And then you're assigning them by creating collections. It's a collection is like a Maya set, and then you assign the shader to the set. And then there's this light dome, pretty simple stuff. Render settings, then AOV creation. So you get all the render outputs directly in Katana. So I'm creating all these LPEs for output, for the render output. And then you can see this is now the render, and you have all the AOVs right here. So this is now my dust pass and primary. So this is currently what my initial test was about. Pretty simple, but it is working. And I think in the future I will push my material series over to Katana and might maybe even some look dev work. So don't be afraid of that. It's still the same workflow. You can use exactly the same principles in Maya. It's just the same nodes. I will be trying to only use the nodes which are present in both packages. So um, yeah, so Arnold has a OSL node. I'm not sure. It's not really working just yet. Um, it's like it's currently still hidden. You need to unhide it yourself, but it's still not working. That's why it is hidden. Um, Charles, what do you mean by not something else? What do you have in mind? The other question, how to change the color of AL flakes. I don't use AL stuff anymore, so um, AL flakes is just adjusting the normal. So whatever is um, your base color, that is what the flakes, the color of the flakes is. So I'm almost wrapping this up. So last question from Charles, what do you mean by something else? Like you mean why I don't work with Blender, or what else is there? Lots of other things. Cinema 4D. Um, well, I used Maya all my life so far, and it's just refreshing to work with something different, which is dedicated to look dev and lighting, and that is what Katana is. It is a look dev and lighting tool. It's very stripped down. You don't have all these, um, I don't know, all these animation options. You don't have rigging options. It's very basic. All you have here is your input caches, which is your Alembic or USD stuff, and then you only do shaders in here and lights in here, and you render. That's very simple, and it's very straightforward to work with. So this is already that. I just wanted to give you an update on OSL stuff, what light shaders is currently, the status of light shaders, and I wanted to show you Katana a bit more. Um, Other than that, I am working on new stuff. I am definitely working with Quixel Megascan data to create a very nice scene, and I guess I will be doing that though in Maya. I will be creating a nice scene using these provided materials and assets because they have really awesome scans. Yeah, so keep on the channel, be curious. I'm not that like I'm not producing content every week anymore because I'm really busy currently. So yeah, I'm trying my best to keep you guys happy. Obviously, you guys are very demanding, and I need to like follow up on that. But it's I got a life too, right? You gotta understand that. Anyways, thank you guys again for tuning in, and especially for this late night or whatever late live session. Cool. Thank you guys. See you in the next one.